Welcome to another episode, everyone. Excuse me. Nolan Wells was murdered. His death is being covered up by his friends, in my opinion. The 911 call was just leaked, proving that Nolan Wells was on the boat when he died. He was on the boat. Now listen, you have to follow me. Here, Nolan Wells' best friend gives an interview with Officer Tatum, who is doing the devil's work, trying to prove for these YT boys that they did not kill Nolan Wells. But this video is not aging well, and it's not going to age well, because the 911 call again just revealed that this individual here, Nolan Wells' best friend, is lying. We all knew that this individual and all of these individuals were lying and covering up Nolan Wells' murder from the beginning. I covered this particular interview right here just a few days ago on my other channel called The Unwoke Culture. Go check it out. The link is in the description. This is not about me trying to sell my channel. The channel is doing well on its own, finding its own audience, and doing just fine. It's flourishing every day. But I just want to let you all know that I've been on the case of Nolan Wells and his death. I've been using my voice to try to find out and uncover what happened to this young 18-year-old who I believe was murdered by whomever, by his friends there on Horn Island in Mississippi. I'm not a Johnny-come-lately. Nevertheless, I figured, you know what? I need to start covering it on this channel as well, my bigger channel, and give my voice all the way into this situation on both channels until something is done about it. But I've been on top of this now. I covered this the other day, and you can go and look at it on the Unwoke Culture. And you can see that I said then that this individual, this best friend of his, was lying, he's laughing, and that his story was not adding up. I was breaking down as he was telling his story why it was not adding up. Well, now we know for certain that it's not adding up and why it's not adding up. But I have to play this for you before I play you the 911 call. The leaked 911 call revealing again that Nolan Wells was on the boat when he lost his life. But look at what his best friend had to say to Officer Tatum a few days ago. He says that Nolan Wells was not on the boat. Again, this video is not going to age well because we now know that Nolan Wells, for a fact, for certain we know, you about to know as well, that Nolan Wells was on the boat when he lost his life. Knew this from the very beginning.
All right, so I want to be clear with this one thing, because I know you mentioned before, is there any chance or any knowledge that you have that anybody deleted stuff from his phone?
I mean, Nolan was like a brother to me. Nolan lit up every room he walked in. 4th of July, everybody was out there. Nolan rode out on the Triton, and then we had a Palm Beach, 18 Palm Beach. There was 4 guys on that. The rest of the group, which was ranged from maybe 10 to 15 or 16 people on my buddy's tide line.
Yeah, so y'all pretty much having a good time. And then you guys get ready to leave prematurely.
Right.
And like, explain that, because you guys got there around 10.
Yeah.
It's now 4:30.
Right.
People are still out there partying and
Correct.
they're having a good time, but something happened to where it necessitated you guys to get the boat up and running. Can you explain that?
Yeah. So I had a girl come up to me and say, "Hey, your brother just got in a fight." And obviously I have a younger brother, and that's who she was talking about. And I was freaked out. So I walked over to the beach, and I didn't walk over, I ran over. I made a beeline, I didn't talk to anybody, put my drink down and walked over there. And my brother was kind of angry, and there was a lot going on, but someone was getting pulled away. I don't know who it was. And my brother was like, "Oh, I just got in a fight, and this guy punched me in the face," and I punched him right back. And then went to the ground, and my brother put him in an arm bar. And
was Nolan involved in any of this?
Absolutely not. When I was over there was a bunch of younger guys like my brother's age, and I mean, Nolan, I never saw Nolan over there.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. And
You never saw Nolan over there. It's different than absolutely not. He was not over there. In fact, video footage has since surfaced that Nolan Wells was in fact in the fight there on the beach with his so-called friends. But pay attention, this is his best friend here. Nolan Wells was just murdered on July 4th. Let's say he died by accident, by drowning, as they're trying to say. This is still your best friend who lost his life. Everyone grieves differently, but I don't see a lot of emotion coming out of this individual. He's sitting there with his hat on and his little shirt like he's back on the island, like he's at the beach with his flip-flops on. He's just chilling. You're not grieving over your best friend losing his life? And this raccoon right here, Officer Tatum, makes me sick. I'm not going to get on him too much right now since I'm using this content to cover this interview. But I'm going to be on your ass, boy.
Okay, sorry. I just lost my train of thought.
So you
What's so funny? What's so funny? Oh, I'm sorry. I just lost my train of thought. Well, let's go back to that. Let me stop talking and let's go back to that because Officer Tommy asked him if that fight that involved his brother, if Nolan Wells was there, if he was involved in any of this altercation. And he said, absolutely not. And then he laughs and says he lost his train of thought. As soon as Nolan Wells' name comes up, he loses his train of thought, right? Let's check it out.
You get ready to go. There's an issue with the boat.
Okay, yeah.
And this is what
this led up to that. Okay, sorry, I just lost my train of thought.
So you get ready to
stage and
was Nolan involved in any of this?
Absolutely, this guy punched me in the face.
Okay, so there we go. That's what I want to get to. He asked him the question: was Nolan involved in any of this? Talking about the fight that he said he made a beeline over there to save his brother from, help his brother in his fight, get his brother out of this fight, whatever. He ran over there. Was Nolan involved in this? Officer Tommy asked him. And let's see his answer.
And I punched him right back and then went to the ground and my brother put him in an arm bar. And
was Nolan involved in any of this?
Absolutely not. When I was over there was a bunch of younger guys like my brother's age and I mean, Nolan, I never saw Nolan over there. Yeah. Absolutely not. And, okay, sorry, I just lost my train of thought.
So you
Damn. What's so funny? And how did you lose your train of thought that fast? Was Nolan over there? You were just saying, no, absolutely not. I never saw Nolan. And then he went from that to laughing and saying, I lost my train of thought. How did you get off the subject? Was Nolan over there? Did you see him? You already answered the question, but what was so funny about that? And how did you pay attention to this guy, his best friend?
You get ready to go. There's an issue with the boat.
Okay, yeah.
And this is what
this led up to that. That's what I was saying.
So the fight happened with your brother, or a little scuffle. You know, I'm assuming that it was cleared up.
You're right.
You got your brother out of that situation, and then how did you find out that this boat is sinking?
Well, I walk back over, and like we're probably around each other for a little bit. I mean, you know, I wasn't thinking anything of it. I pulled my brother off the beach, and I was just like, listen, get in the water, hang out with us, calm down. I mean, he was calm, but I didn't want anything else to happen, you know? And so once I got back over the boat, I got on the Triton, and the Triton had probably about 6 inches of water up to the transom. And I was freaked out because I'm good friends with Wyatt, and that was his boat. And, you know, no water's coming out, no access water's coming out. And you know, it was a big issue because I think the reason was because there were so many people getting on and off the boat. And at some point, the boat was very, very crowded and there was just a lot of people on. So that it drags water in. And eventually, I think over time, we were out there for a couple hours. The boat just started filling up with water. So I popped the starboard side hatch, and the battery was completely underwater. And so the motor wouldn't trim down. I mean, my buddy would go to trim it down from the console, and it'd trim down, and then it'd come right back up. And so Wyatt's trying to throw a rear anchor, so we're caught, and he's, you know, yelling at people. Everybody's kind of freaking out. And eventually, I'm like yelling at other people, trying to tell them, calm down. Like, the boat could possibly sink, and I'm not paying attention to everyone around me. I was paying attention to my buddy's boat. And that's what all my other friends that were on that boat were doing, trying to solve the problem.
So you're on the boat now, the water is getting up to the point where the boat may be disabled to where you couldn't get it out from Horn Island. So what happens after that?
Wyatt jumps to the water, tries to throw a rear anchor, and my buddy Meyer, you're sitting looking, trying to pull trash out the bilge. And the bilge is basically a pump that pulls the excess water out the boat. So the bilge was failing to work. So any excess water was just sitting in the boat. It wasn't getting pumped out. And I looked over the gunnel and I looked at the release hole for the bilge, and it was even with the water. So, I mean, we're all freaking out. All of our, we're not focused on anything else other than the boat. Well, then eventually my buddy Bart on the tide line is like, I'm going to pull y'all out to where we're out of all this, all this chaos. Because we left at 4:30 and there were still just as many people there, if not more, than when we got there. I mean, probably around the same amount. I mean, it was crazy. Like, there was a lot of people. And, eventually Bart pulls us out. We left at 4:30, but we really weren't pulled out away from everybody. We were probably about a quarter mile out, and we had the towing strap pulled from, Bart's port side cleat or starboard side cleat, and he was on our starboard side bow. And so he was rubbing on his power pole. So Bart turned around, pulled up next to our boat, and we were just trying to get it situated. So that's when Wyatt called Cito. And Wyatt was like, calls him, because the cell service isn't great at the island, but once you can use your phone, but stuff might not descend. And it's not.
He's going around and around and around and around, talking all this boat jargon, like the hell we know what he's talking about. This is a smokescreen, oftentimes a distraction. The experts will tell you, the pundits, the mavens, when individuals are not answering questions directly. Now, he's going around and around saying what happened with the boat. He's not mentioning here, not one time has he mentioned that they made a 911 call. While this was happening with the boat and this water was filling up, they made a 911 call. Not only did they make the 911 call, Nolan was on the boat at this time, dead. We're going to prove that in the 911 call. He was already on the boat dead. This dude says that Nolan wasn't on the boat. Check this out.
It's not great. You got maybe one bar. It won't work that well. But once you get a little off the island, you have cell coverage. And even on the island, like I called my mom when we were on the island, it was fine. Like we had enough cell coverage to make a phone call or shoot a text over, but you don't have enough cell coverage to like send a picture, for example. So what?
So I want to go back.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I want to touch on that real quick because the phone thing came up at some point. And so was it when you guys got off the boat?
Yeah.
Were people taking their phones off the boat, or is that not typical? Because I know that Nolan's phone was left on the boat,
right?
Even though after you guys had left. So can you explain that? Because I think people need to understand this a little clearer.
Yeah.
Was it typical for people to have their phones left on boats, or did they keep their phones in the water? Or?
Yeah. Everybody kind of goes out to the island to get away from, their phones and everything else. I know I got on the boat to get away from, just the regular world. And no, when you're waist deep in water, no one's carrying their phone in their hand. Especially at Horn Island, the water has been very, very murky because of the rain. And it's just very risky. If you're gonna have your phone in the water, some people might for a couple minutes and like maybe taking some pictures.
He says no one cares about their phone on Horn Island. They go to Horn Island to get away from their phone. Well, why even take your phone with you? For one, why are you taking your phones with you? Well, you're going to say, well, in case something happens, right? For protection. So you can call someone for help, of course. Then why would Nolan not keep his phone with him? He's explaining that Nolan didn't keep his phone with him. They still had Nolan's phone, as we all know by now. If you don't know, when they got back off of Horn Island, Nolan's friends and his best friend here, they had Nolan Wells's phone. And come to find out, some messages have been deleted. Some messages are deleted from their phones. We'll get to that. But they had Nolan Wells's phone. His reasoning is, as we're hearing now, that Nolan Wells, people go to Horn Island to get away from their phone. And you're going to be knee deep in the water, waist deep in the water. You don't want to have your phone with you filming stuff and all of this. Okay, that's if you're in the water. But Nolan Wells is staying behind, according to what he's going to say. Nolan Wells is staying behind. Let's get into that because he wants to. So why would he not take his phone?
Pictures of each other, I know a lot of girls like to take pictures in the water at Horn Island. Guys do too. Like people like to take pictures, but a lot of the pictures you see are on the boat for a reason. And so, no, I mean, if someone is on their phone in the water, they're using it real quick and then putting it right back on the boat. We were all waist deep in water. No one's sitting there scrolling on their phone. I never saw that once, and I've never seen that once. And I've been out the Highland my whole life. I mean, that's just not something people do. People aren't on their phones, and everybody has their phone, yes, but it's always on the boat. No one's getting off the boat with their phone. So
you guys get ready to leave out of there, getting towed out.
Yeah.
And then where's Nolan in this situation?
Well, the last time I saw Nolan was 3:00, and Nolan was cradling a girl in his arms, Katie. Katie. And Katie, Nolan was sitting there, and the last time I saw him, I looked at Nolan, and Nolan was like shaking his head, laughing, and I was like, "Dude, you crazy?" I was like just joking with him, and but anyway, Nolan. That was the last time I laid eyes on him. But when we were leaving, obviously, no one is getting left at the island that came with us unless they demanded to, be there and asked. This is a very common thing at Horn Island. When you're out there, a lot of people ride out there with someone and in with somebody else all the time. I've done that 100 times. It's a very common thing. But Nolan was sitting by the boat with that Katie girl, and my buddy yelled for Nolan. Nolan, get on the boat. We're leaving. The boat's having issues. And no, he didn't say that, but he was panicking. Nolan, get the F on the boat. Get on the boat. And Nolan said, no, I'm staying out here. I'm going to ride in with somebody else. And it's not uncommon to hear, but it's not like my buddy asked him one time. My buddy asked Nolan multiple times to get on the boat. Nolan, get on the boat. Get on the boat. We're leaving. If you're coming, you got to come now. And Nolan made a decision to stay out on the island. And like he said.
So what he's doing right here, excuse me, let me clear my throat for this. As far as I am concerned, is we all know that if you've been following Nolan Wells's murder, that a video surfaced of individuals yelling at Nolan from the boat, saying, no, cursing at him, and seeming to say that he cannot get on the boat. Okay. So now he's explaining what that video is. He knows that video has been out there so now he's explaining, well, we was just trying to get Nolan on the boat. And, my friend got aggressive and said, Nolan, get the F on the boat. If you're coming, you have to come now. You're leaving. The boat is having problems and this and that. So let me get this right. So you have Nolan Wells's phone. Nolan Wells left his phone in the boat because, according to him, when people go out there and get in the water and they are waist deep, they don't want to have their phone with them. Okay, that makes sense, understandable. But Nolan Wells is not in the water waist deep. He's over here hugged up with Katie. You said specifically, exactly the last time you saw him, which is at 3:00. Okay, exactly, not 3:01 or 2:59, at 3, fine. You saw him at 3 over here hugged up with Katie. And you're telling him to get on a boat. The boat is overflowing with water. We are leaving. We're out of here, Nolan. Get on the boat. But it's common, he says, for individuals to come with one group and leave with another. So when Nolan says, no, I'm staying here with old Katie, apparently, who he's been hugged up with all day, they said, okay, fine, we're out of here. Why would you not give him his phone at that point? He's not in it. I can understand you're not giving him the phone or him not asking for his phone or not taking his phone with him when he's waist deep in the water. But this is not the case now, if it ever was. Now he's over here hugged up with Katie and is saying, I'm staying. You guys go ahead and go. I'm not going with you. I'm staying here with Katie. And he still tells you to just take his phone too? Knowing he's going to be out here on the island by himself or out here on the island with Katie and anything can happen. And something did happen. He never made it back.
Said,
How many people heard that? Were there just
at least
just a
five.
few,
Everyone that was on our boat right there, because the Palm Beach had already left. My buddy went ahead and went home on the Palm Beach, and three guys on the way back. And Nolan wasn't the only person to ride out there with us and in with somebody else. We had multiple people in our group that rode out with us and rode in on someone else's boat. And that, like I said, that's not an uncommon thing to do. A lot of people do that. I could name probably 50 people out there that day that ran out with somebody and ran back in with somebody else. So, it's not like it's an uncommon thing, but it's not like we just left him there or my friends just left him there.
You did.
Nolan made a decision to stay on the island after my friends asked him multiple times and told him to get on the boat, and he decided to stay.
And I heard the girl that he was with, Katie, had text somebody that she heard people yelling
Correct.
for Nolan to get on. Is that true?
And I have a picture of that. She texted my buddy, and the next day everybody was panicking and everybody's texting Katie, because she was obviously seen with Nolan the whole day at the island. Katie sent a message to my buddy the next day and said, this is the last time I saw him, he's really sweet. But she also mentioned that the last time she saw Nolan was when my buddy was yelling at him to get on the boat. And she was right there to see that Nolan decided not to.
Yeah.
How convenient. The last thing Katie remembers is that, yes, his friends were there yelling at him to get on the boat. That's her statement. That's her written statement that she remembers. Yeah, they were yelling at him to get on the boat. So let me get this right. He just said, first of all, that he's been on Horn Island all of his life. First of all. Second of all, he said that Nolan had been with Katie all day. That's what he just said. That he had been over there with Katie all day. Apparently, this is why Nolan is staying back. As he said earlier, the last time he saw Nolan, he was hugged up with Katie at 3 o'clock. Now he just said he had been with Katie all day. So from all day to the last time he saw him, he's over there hugged up with Katie. Apparently, this is why he wants to stay back on the island, to hang out with Katie, do whatever he wants to do, whatever he has going on with Katie. Yet, he still doesn't want his phone. He tells you guys, go ahead and take his phone. You said the reason people leave their phone on the boat is because they're getting in the water waist deep. Why take the phone with you in the water? So they leave it on the boat. They're getting back. These are people that are getting back on the boat. Obviously, they leave their phone, their wallet, their money, everything on the boat. They're getting back on the boat. That's why they left their property there. But this is not the case with Nolan. He wasn't in the water waist deep. He was over here hugged up with Katie. So why would he leave his phone? And if he had gotten in the water, he's now not in the water and saying, according to you, that he is staying. He is adamant that he's not getting on a boat with you all. You asked him many times. Your other friend asked him multiple times, even cursed at him to get back on this freaking boat. And he made it clear he's not getting back on the boat. he's staying here with Katie, who you've seen him with all day and you see him with now. This is the last time you see him when you're arguing with him to get back on the boat. He's over here hugged up with Katie. And yet, not one time does he say, in the midst of that, give me my phone, because I'm not getting back on the boat with you all. You just whoop and holler at him to get back on the boat. He said he's not. No one on the boat, the 6, 7 of y'all, had the presence of mind to say, well, here, take your phone since you're staying. And he doesn't even have the presence of mind. What 18-year-old leaves his phone? When he know he's staying on the island under his own will, his own volition, he's staying on the island. Not in the water waist deep, but he just staying on the island, apparently with Katie. And still he just let y'all just leave with his phone. And if he is staying back to stay on the island with Katie, because this is who he is hugged up with, then how is it that this is the last time that Katie saw him as well? This is the last time that you saw him is when he was with Katie hugged up at 3 o'clock. And you were arguing with him to get on the boat. And the last thing Katie saw and remembers is that moment too, when you were arguing with him to get on the boat. So she left right after that. Y'all left him and left on the boat, and then Katie left too. Because you're now texting Katie and saying, where's Nolan? What happened? And she said, the last time I saw him is when you guys were telling him to get back on the boat. So right after that is when you left and everyone else on the boat, and voila, Katie left too. So he wasn't staying back for Katie. All this time I thought he was staying back for Katie, who you seen him with all day long. And now at the last moment you're laying eyes on him, he's still with Katie, hugged up, laughing at me. Y'all had a little bro joke, a little inside bro joke going. Oh man, you a fool. Yeah, man. I'm staying back with Katie, you know. This is what he just said. He didn't get back on the boat with his friends that he came on the boat with, his best friend, where his phone is at. Because he's so into Katie, who he's been with all day on the island. And yet, as soon as they leave Nolan behind with Katie, and they have Nolan's phone, what do you know? Katie decided, I'm leaving too, without Nolan. And she left Nolan too. This is his whole reason for staying back, was to hang out with Katie, who he's been hanging. What happened? How are you all hanging out all day? How did it go from y'all hanging out all day and hugged up at 3 o'clock to that's the last time you saw him? Y'all just cut the day. Y'all just cut the day short right then and there, huh? Right when they left him, and that's what they did. According to them, they left him there because he just wanted to be with Katie. But Katie turns around and leaves him too. As soon as the boat pulled off, she pulled off. She said that's the last time she saw him. It's when they were telling him to get back on the boat. This is a cover-up, folks. Bear in mind that he's had 3 weeks to get this story together. And again, it's all about to be exposed because we have evidence that Nolan Wells was on the boat, dead. Stay tuned. All of this is a lie. A concocted, fabricated story that they're all involved in. This is your friends, Nolan Wells. These are your people, huh? These are your buddies. Katie, all of them involved in this cover-up. The sheriff said immediately before the autopsy that he seen no foul play. He seen no foul play. The second autopsy revealed that his neck was missing. Organs were missing. Face beaten up. You see no foul play. Lacerations in the back of his head. Fractured skulls. You saw no foul play, huh? Got it.
So you guys get in the boat. You start to get towed in. and you make it back. Now explain how did you get to the point where you were concerned about Nolan? Because obviously you said, hey, Nolan, y'all need to, or somebody, not
when
you,
did I get
but
to that point?
you guys had made mention Nolan needed to get on a boat.
Yeah.
He didn't.
Yeah.
You guys get back to wherever you're going.
Right.
Explain that. Did you guys go back to somebody's house, or you guys like what happened there? And then when did you feel like, well, wait a minute, where's Nolan?
Right. Okay. Well, running in was very chaotic. I mean, Nolan chose to stay on the island, so my focus wasn't on anything else other than the boat, because if the boat doesn't get in, then no one gets in. I don't want to sink out there on my buddy's boat, and no one does. But my buddy Wyatt jumped out and pulled the plug on the boat once we kind of got out there, because he got the motor to trim down. And the motor trimmed down, my buddy Wyatt pulled the plug, and we planed off. We moved all the weight to the front of the boat so we could plane off. And eventually we planed off, and the boat was running. So when you're planed off and you have water in the boat and you're hauling, we're going pretty fast. We're going probably 40, 42 miles an hour. And so all that excess water that was built up in the boat is coming out of the boat. So, I mean, that's what we had to do. So we ran into Fort Bayou, and we didn't just run straight to my buddy's grandparents' house. We ran into Fort Bayou. A couple of us jumped in the water, and Wyatt, the whole reason for the stop was so Wyatt could hop in and put the plug back in the boat. So then after that, we went and docked it, and I went back to my buddy's house, and we ate and napped for a little bit. It was a long day at the island, so we were all tired. And eventually, we go over to a girlfriend of mine. She was having people over for 4th of July. We were doing like fireworks and stuff, so we all went over there to swim and hang out. And this
infamous picture that I've seen online of Nolan in the water in the swimming pool.
Yeah.
Where is this picture associated with? Because you said you guys went back to swim. Nolan wasn't with you.
Yeah.
So where's this picture at? Like, what's the context around the picture that's been floating?
That picture is taken on June 27th, a week before the 4th of July. We all went to a friend of ours in Pass Christian. We have a lot of friends from Bay St. Louis, Pass Christian. We all went over there to hang out, and
And Nolan was in that picture?
Nolan was in that picture. And if you look in the picture, my arm is around Nolan in that picture, And I mean, that was a week before the 4th of July. So that picture is not associated within even the same. I mean, that was like a week before. So, yeah.
So you guys are now at swimming and having a good time at a lady friend's house.
Right. I never got to the pool. I talked to her dad for a while.
Okay.
And I mean, all my friends were downstairs. I went upstairs, talked to her dad. We were talking about boats and stuff. And, I've been with my friends all day. I was just talking to everybody. But
so you talked to the young lady's dad, and then how long was it before you realized, or you guys realized that, well, where's Nolan at?
I mean, I went back downstairs, and all my friends were just hanging out, and my buddy Wyatt had a dress, talking about Nolan, and I was like, well, where is Nolan? Have y'all heard from him? And he was like, no, we haven't. And I was like, okay, well, it's a little concerning. Like, I mean, I'm not freaking out or anything, but like, I'm trying to find out where Nolan is. So I texted Javon, and I was like, hey, and also a couple other buddies that I had at the island. I was like, hey, have y'all seen Nolan? Did he ride in with y'all? And all the buddies were like, no. Well, I texted Javon, and I was like, hey, can you send me Miss Christine's number? Because I haven't heard from Nolan. And if she hasn't heard from Nolan, then I'm calling the Coast Guard. And so eventually, Javon sends me her number.
Who is her? That's
Miss Christine.
Miss Christine.
Yeah, Nolan.
Oh, so you're going to call it, now you want to call the Coast Guard. Now you're concerned about Nolan. This is the same day. This is later on that day on the 4th of July. He said that they went to another friend's house. These old rich YT kids, they went to another kid, a mansion with a pool in there. They went to another pool party, one of their friends' house, and he up there hollering at the dad. And then he says, anyone heard from Nolan? This is the same day. Why? First of all, why would you think anyone would hear from Nolan when you have his phone? Second of all, why are you concerned about it? If he was adamant that he wanted to stay on the island, apparently he had a plan, he was going to have fun without you all, why are you so concerned now to where you have to call his mother and call the Coast Guard? Call the Coast Guard. Because your friend who you left on the island, who you said you left on the island because he refused to come with you, now you haven't heard from him. It's just some hours later. Were you supposed to hear from him? First of all, you have his phone. And second of all, he said that he wanted to stay on the island to have fun with Katie. Why are you so concerned now that you haven't heard from him a few hours later? So concerned that you have to call his mother and the Coast Guard. So you think that something can happen to him out there? Because if you believe that, then why did you leave him out there? Regardless of what the hell he said, he ain't getting on the boat. No, damn that. We came together, we leaving together. Yes, you are.
Nolan's mom.
Yeah. And I walked down to the dock because, I mean, there was a lot of people at it. It was not a lot, but, you know, there was probably 15 of our friends there. And I was just like, walked down to the dock with a couple of my buddies, and I got on the phone I called Miss Christine, called her the first time. She didn't answer. I called her a second time, and I got on the phone with her, and I asked her if she had heard from Nolan. She said no. And I said, all right, well, don't freak out. I'm going to call the Coast Guard. And this was at about 11 o'clock.
So what's your intent in calling the Coast Guard, right? Because right now, Nolan could be with a chick. He could be with somebody else.
Right.
He could have gone back with somebody else. What made you concerned enough that you felt like you couldn't weigh it out anymore? You had to call the Coast Guard.
Well, right.
I mean, like I said, my friends and I have been on the water our whole life.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff happens.
Wow.
People die all the time. I know people that have died out there.
What?
And, you know, it's a fun place to be, but it's also a very, very dangerous place to be if you're not handling it right.
Oh,
and
wow.
Nolan, so I hadn't heard from him, and obviously I'm thinking I'd way rather be safe than sorry.
Oh, now you're concerned about Nolan because Horn Island is a very dangerous place. He's been there all of his life, and he personally knows people who've died on Horn Island, who've lost their life on Horn Island. If you don't play it right, he said, if you don't know what you're doing out there, you can die out there. This is why he's so concerned hours later, and he hasn't heard from Nolan. This is why he's calling Nolan's mother and calling the Coast Guard, because he has been on Horn Island all of his life and knows that it can get tricky out there. It can get dangerous, that people can lose their lives. People have lost their lives out there. Well, if you know this, that people have lost their lives out there and that it's so dangerous out there, why would you leave your best friend out there without his phone? To the point now you're so concerned about him that you have to call the Coast Guard and his mother because something could have happened to him out there. Well, if you believe that something could have happened to him out there, then why would you leave him out there? Oh, got it.
I mean, I would rather call the Coast Guard 100 times and lose my mind over it, and my buddy be okay, than, you know, not, and me not know where he is and him not be okay. And
so concerned.
So I called the Coast Guard, and I talked to them on the phone for like 20 minutes, gave him a description, what Nolan was wearing, the last place we were at, the last time I saw him, who were we with, what boat we were on, the conditions of the water, just a summary. And I called Miss Christine back after, and I talked to her, and I said I got in contact with the Coast Guard. I'm not sure who she called or what she did, but I think she said she was going to make a couple phone calls to either DMR or Jackson County Sheriff's Office. And I was thinking worst case scenario. I would way rather be safe than sorry about this,
Yeah, so you called. So it seems like you called mom immediately.
Right.
Probably the first phone call that she got from anybody.
That's the first phone call, at least I made. And I would assume that's the first phone call she got from anybody, because Javon hadn't called her. And, there's nothing wrong with that, but Javon hadn't called her. And, I was just worried about my friend. Stuff happens out there, boat problems, it could be anything. But, there's a lot of stuff that happens out there, and I was just worried about my friend.
And so you guys made that call, nothing that night, and I'm assuming you wake up the next day, and then what happens?
I wake up the next day at about 7:30, and my dad had texted me because obviously Nolan's photo was all over Facebook, and I just saw it everywhere, and I was freaked out because I was like, oh my gosh, I assumed Nolan's just we had been drinking all day, and that he's just sleeping somewhere, and that he's okay, but I didn't want to believe that if we didn't know for sure. So, next day I woke up and my stepdad walked to my room and he said, hey, have they heard anything about Nolan? What's going on? Because I hadn't spoke to him. And he was like, I was like, yeah, no, I don't know. I had just gotten up. And he was like, all right, well, we're going and getting on the boat and looking for him. And I was like, okay, yeah. So I got my buddy Ricky, I got my buddy Brooks, I got my buddy Jax. My mom came on the boat with my stepdad and I, and we all went out there and looked. When I got out there was dozens of DMR boats, helicopters, planes flying over Horn Island. And this wasn't just Horn Island. There was also Ship Island they were looking at, I'm sure, and Chandelier Island, Petty Boy. It wasn't just Horn Island specifically, but where I was at Horn, there were boats everywhere, and not just random boats, but marine resource boats and cops and the whole nine. It wasn't there was just a couple boats looking for Nolan. There was planes and helicopters and everybody.
Yeah, so they all got there before you to go look for your best friend. All of these people that you're naming, all of these cops, all of these Marines, all of these Coast Guards, they all got to Nolan before you. They're all looking for Nolan before you. And you had the ability to go look for him the whole time. Your daddy had a damn boat right there at the house, huh? Your dad, you heard from Nolan? No? Let's go look for him. They all jumped on the boat to go look for him. You were concerned about him, you said, the night before, because you called his mother and you called the Coast Guard. So if you were concerned about him the night before, to the point, because you know that Horn Island is dangerous, you've seen so many people die out there, and you just didn't want to take any chances with your friend. You hadn't heard from him, and you were just concerned for your friend. This is what he said multiple times. And yet, you just went to sleep. Still hadn't heard from him, because you already know he's dead. You still hadn't heard from him. And you got a boat there, as we find out the next morning, to go look for your friend who you're so concerned about. But instead, you went to bed. And the next morning, you say, hey, no one still heard from Nolan? He says because he thought Nolan might have just been asleep because they had been drinking all day. That's what he just said. They had been drinking all day. So he thought perhaps Nolan was just asleep. I guess he's justifying how come he didn't go look for him the night before, because he thought that Nolan was just asleep. If you thought Nolan was just asleep, why did you call his mother and why did you call the Coast Guard? The night before, if you thought he was just maybe just asleep, and that's why you just went to sleep too, instead of going to look for your best friend, because you thought he may have just been asleep because you all had been drinking all day. And then, why would you leave your best friend on this dangerous island, an island that you've been on all of your life and thus know personally that it's dangerous? You know personally that it's dangerous because according to you, you personally know many individuals who died on the island, who've lost their life on this island. And yet your best friend, who's been drinking all day, you leave on this dangerous, violent island by himself without his phone or with Katie. Your friend who you just said you've been drinking with all day. Well, I'm like Columbo on this thing. This thing ain't making no sense. Yeah, buddy.
So.
And then after this, obviously they didn't find Nolan that day.
Right.
And so what was your reaction like when you heard the news, or how did you hear the news that they found Nolan's body?
Well, the next day, it got to be about 1 o'clock on July 5th, and I was like, my mind started to turn. I was like, man, if he's not awake yet, like, where is he? Like, I got very, very worried. And
he's not awake yet.
I was with my buddy Brooks the next day, and
he's never waking
we're driving,
up again.
And
you know that.
My buddies were texting my group chat. They were like,
you knew that?
Hey, listen. And then I got a phone call from my buddy Trace, and he was like, hey, man, they just found his body. And I was like, I wanted to have hope, but it was really, really hard to have hope when they haven't found your buddy in the last 2 days. And, but there's still a little bit of hope there, like maybe, he's not gone, and maybe, he's okay. But my reaction was just, I was with my buddy Brooks, and I broke down. I mean, I haven't experienced death a lot, but especially with someone I'm as close with as Nolan. And I mean, I broke down, and I sat there on my buddy Brooks' shoulder, and I cried. And I was upset. I made a couple phone calls to my buddies and checked up on my buddies, because, I care about my buddies too. I mean, like, we're all experienced this. Like, we all realized at the same time. We all heard the news at the same time. Like, he's gone. And so it was really, really hard on me. I mean, I've never experienced something like this, and it was traumatic. I mean, I could tell you where and when I was there when I got that phone call.
I can tell.
Where I was, and I just remember, like, it was insane. Like, I can't even put it into words.
I can tell how traumatic it was for you, man. You're so broken up.
How upset I was, and how upset my friends were. So.
And then comes the stories and the backlash and the craziness. I mean, you guys are now hearing that you're responsible for it. You did it. You killed Nolan.
Yeah, buddy.
So what was the next step? Did you guys ever engage with police? Or?
Watch this, y'all.
So the first time I talked to the police was July 7th. I talked to the lead investigator, and I told him my whole story, top to bottom. Dotted every I, crossed every T. I told him everything I knew, every little detail. I mean, everything I could, tell them to try to figure something out,
Well, you don't want to talk to the cops, or
no, of course
some
not.
Other guys
Every person that was included, especially, the guys that you see on social media, everybody cooperated with the police fully. Nolan was with us on the way out, and he rode out on the boats with us. So, I mean, we were the first people to get questioned. I mean, we cooperated with the police the first time they called us, and, we talked to them, as soon as they needed, and we were fully cooperative.
And we see Benjamin Crump coming to town, made it about race.
Right.
What's your feeling about that? Do you think that any of this has anything to do with race? Or, because, I mean, obviously something happened to Nolan. It appears that you guys may not have been involved at all. When I say may not, it's no evidence that you were involved at all. Right. You guys had left.
Right.
You don't know that this dude's a prosecutor. You don't know that they left. This is what he's saying. This is their story. Let the evidence come out. I don't know that they're guilty either. I certainly don't know that they're innocent. And this individual here, Brandon Tatum, has no right to go around. This is disrespectful to the family, to go around and act as if these individuals are innocent before all of the facts have come out. He went to Horn Island, this individual here, Officer Tatum, with this. This is part 3 of the interview. There's a part 1 and 2 as well. There's also a part 4 and 5 now. Another one of his friends speaks out. We're about to catch them all in lies. He went to Horn Island trying to say, well, the beach was crowded, Horn Island was crowded on that day, particularly on 4th of July. There's no way that they could have did anything to him and gotten away with it. They didn't do it. This is what Brandon Tatum said, this individual here, Officer Tommy. And now he's saying there's no evidence that you guys did anything. Same thing the sheriff said before the autopsy even came back. Well, hell, his brain is missing and his whole neck was missing from the autopsy. And we have eyewitness accounts that said his body was battered and bruised. And the autopsy even reveals that he had a fracture in the back of his skull. And that when he was transported face down, which is a sign of disrespect. When they transport the body, it's always supposed to be face up. Witnesses say his body was face down because it was battered. But in spite of all of this, we have the 911 call, as I said. Watch when I play this right now. Proving that Nolan Wells was on the boat. I wanted to play this for you all first. So you can go back and listen to it if you must. What this individual, Nolan Wells' best friend, just said. He made it explicitly clear, did he not, that Nolan Wells was not on the boat when they left. That they begged him, beseeched him, implored him, pleaded with him, so much so that it turned to curse words to get on that boat because they had to go because the boat was overflowing with water. Man, we're out of here. But hey, Nolan wanted to stay back, apparently, with Katie. And that's the last time that he saw him, he said, was at 3 o'clock. And that they left Horn Island without him because he refused to come with them. Don't know how you can let your best friend refuse when you know how dangerous the island is and that the island is imbued with death. That you personally know many individuals who've lost their life on this island, and you would still leave your best friend there regardless of what the hell he says. He's been drinking all day. He's not in his right mind. So he can say whatever he wants. No, man, you coming with me. If I got to drag you over here, I'm not leaving you here. With who? With Katie, who he apparently doesn't even know, because Katie turned around and said, well, he's a nice guy. He's cool, but, I left him there. They all got their story together. Didn't take him long to come up with this story. But the 911 call is about to indicate that Nolan Wells was on the boat. You hear a woman, is this Katie? We'll see. Saying, Nolan, oh my God. And someone else saying, get up, get the F up. As they're calling 911. Let me get to that. Liar. We have the smoking gun. Y'all just got caught up. All of this is a fabricated, concocted story. Last time I saw him was at 3. He just decided to stay back with Katie. Someone he doesn't know. You his best friend. And the rest of you all are his friends. But he's not going to go with you all. Instead, he's going to stay with someone he doesn't know. Without his phone, nonetheless. Y'all didn't think to give him his phone. He didn't think apparently to ask for his phone, even though he knows he's going to be staying on this island, this dangerous island, by himself. And now he can't even communicate or with Katie. But it wasn't with Katie. Turns out he ends up being by himself because as soon as you all left, got back on the boat and turned around and said, okay, Nolan, we're out of here, man. Told you we're about to leave you. All right, you want to stay with Katie? Go ahead. We're gone. And you saw him hugged up with Katie. Last time you saw him, so you went on and drove off. Well, guess what? When you left, Katie left too. As soon as before y'all can even turn y'all back, if you'd have turned around, you'd have noticed Katie was gone too. According to you all, she left right when y'all left because the last time that she saw him is the last time that y'all saw him. She says that the last time she saw Nolan is when they were yelling at him to get back on the boat. How convenient. So you left Nolan there too. They're yelling at him to get back on the boat. He said no. Why is he saying no? Apparently because he wants to stay with Katie. But Katie said no. You didn't get back on the boat and I'm leaving you here too. So now Nolan's just out there with no Katie, no best friend, no boat, no phone, no nothing. This is what y'all want us to believe, huh? Y'all think we are freaking stupid, but we're not.
But do you think that there's a racial component to any of this?
Of course not. I mean, I think if Nolan ever felt the most little bit uncomfortable around us, which we never gave him a reason to, but if he did, he wouldn't hang out around us. But if you go look on, like my friends have had Nolan posted all over our social medias, since freshman year in high school. Like, if Nolan ever felt uncomfortable with us, why would he be hanging out with us all the time? I mean, every day we're back from college, we hang out. And
Because he doesn't understand the lineage of evil. He doesn't understand it the way that I do. That's why.
Each other all the time. So absolutely not. I would never look at Nolan any other way than I would any of my other friends.
Of course.
He was like a brother to me.
Oh,
you guys have been interviewed by law enforcement. Mm-hmm. All of you guys have given statements. But then I think that there's a part associated with this that's being rumored out in the public, and that is the situation with the cell phone, potential deletion of messages. When did that occur, and what happened there?
Okay, so there you go. He leaves a bit of a cliffhanger there, if you will. That's part 3 of the interview. As I said, I just went to straight part 3. Part 1 and 2, it's all the same. A bunch of lies. Wanted you all to see him there laughing, though. I lost my train of thought. What did you say? As soon as he mentioned Nolan's name. And, I have not seen part 4. And again, he has a part 5 as well, where another friend comes forward and says what he says. But this is all before the 911 call was just leaked. You see? So they thought they can get on here and say this on these interviews and have Officer Tommy there go and bag them up and support them by giving them a huge platform to spew and disseminate these concocted lies. But you're going to be exposed. The 911 call has already exposed you. It's going to be considered the smoking gun. Nolan Wells, we're about to find out, was on the boat, dead the entire time. It's all caught on tape. So everything you just witnessed right here, apparently, allegedly, is a lie. It's just a cover-up. The sheriff already said there's nothing to see here, folks. No foul play before an autopsy was even performed. The stepmother's a judge. Even the people who were transporting his body disrespected him. They're all in cahoots. The autopsy indicates, the number 1 autopsy indicates that they have all of the information. They had received the body soon enough to glean whether or not he had actually drowned or if he was murdered. Nevertheless, they are withholding the information from the second independent autopsy, which indicates that he was perhaps murdered. But there's no perhaps about it in my mind. He was absolutely murdered. And I don't believe a damn word that just came out of this man's mouth. He had a few weeks to get this nonsense story together. He left Nolan there because, hey, he just wanted to stay with old Katie, who didn't give a damn about him because she left him there too. Same time y'all did. Okay. You took his phone with you because people don't have their phone when they're waist deep in the water, but he wasn't waist deep in the water. He was hugged up with Katie. You called the Coast Guard and his mother because you began to get worried. Why would you worry about your friend who said he was staying there? You already know where he's at. He good. He refused to come with us. He out there chilling, still drinking. Why would you get so worried that you call his mother and the Coast Guard because you haven't heard from him? Why would you think you would hear from him if you know he's out there chilling with Katie? And if you know that you have his phone, but you don't hear from him, and you get so concerned about that you call the Coast Guard and his mother. But then you just go ahead and go to sleep because you say you thought that he had just went to sleep because you all have been drinking all day, so that's why you haven't heard from him. Perhaps he's asleep. What if you thought that? Why did you call his mother and the Coast Guard? You just go ahead and go to sleep yourself because you think, hey, nothing to see here. My best friend is just out there on the island, sleep, drunk, loaded, because we've been drinking all day. Now he's not with Katie. He just must be asleep because he's drunk and loaded. But then the next morning, you still haven't heard from him. And then your dad says, let's get in the boat and go see what's up. Damn. You didn't think to do that the night before? Even if you thought he was asleep. You know how dangerous the island is. You've seen people die there. Let's go get him before he wakes up and dies and drowns or something. He's out there drunk. None of it's making sense, of course. Let me get you this 911 call. It's coming up next. I'm about to get to that right now. Let's see. Bear in mind everything he said here, and then watch this 911 call that was just leaked and just exposed. Took our young brother out is what they did. Parents, pay attention. Stay safe and stay free, people.